Now, some religious leaders are conflicted over the Johnson & Johnson vaccine since it was produced from a cell line derived from an aborted fetus. 3 News Now reporter Isabella Basco talked to theology experts to get their take on this moral and religious dilemma.
The Vatican and the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops say it's morally acceptable to receive a COVID vaccine with cell lines from aborted fetuses if there are no other vaccines, even though some archdioceses in the U.S. have told parishioners not to take this vaccine. Creighton University professor Todd Salzman says there's mixed messaging happening in the church.
Some bishops have gone farther in terms of their interpretation of the Vatican statement and have said that Catholics shouldn't receive any vaccine because of how they're either research tested or produced.
Salzman says this ambiguity emphasizes that Catholics need to look at church teachings and science to make educated decisions.
We need to empower Catholics, as Pope Francis has done, to take responsibility to form their consciences, and when they've gone through that process, to feel comfortable and confident that they can decide.
University of Nebraska-Omaha professor Laura Alexander says it helps when church leaders put out a clear message, but says the situation is nuanced.
When you're talking about some of these thorny moral issues, it can cause just as many problems to say that there's a clear, obvious choice when there's not always a clear, obvious choice.
So what would you say to people who might have trouble kind of embracing their conscience and following their own heart when it comes to making this decision?
There is room within church teachings for people to make decisions for themselves.
Reporting in Omaha, Isabella Basco, 3 News Now.
Now, 3 News Now reached out to the Archdiocese of Omaha for a statement which says in part, if it is possible to choose among a number of equally safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines, the vaccine with the least connection to abortion-derived cell lines should be chosen. Now, Johnson & Johnson released a statement this week saying there is no fetal tissue in the vaccine. The cell line used to make this vaccine is a clone of one that originated from Europe in the 1970s. Harvard immunology expert Dr. Shiv Pillai says this cell line is used throughout biology. It hasn't really been questioned until now.
So this is a cell line from the 1970s, I think, from Holland, from a Dutch group. And we don't even know it's from an aborted embryo or not. We only know it's of embryonic kidney origin. Just saying that something embryonic is related to abortion, I do not think one can connect the cellular origin of the cell line to any act that might be considered immoral.
Pfizer and Moderna also used these clone cells in the early vaccine testing process. They did not use them to make the vaccine like Johnson & Johnson.